Hey guys, so I've been using these two devices for the last month or so, the Boox Go Color 7 and the Boox Go 10.3, and to my surprise, I found myself picking these up way more often than my iPads. It feels a little weird to say. Let me explain, let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants them.
Hey guys, so yeah, about a month ago, the good people at Boox sent me these two units to try out for a while. Now, you know I'm an iPad guy. In fact, this channel started on the back of the iPad Pro back in 2020, and I've made a ton of iPad content over the years. And for those of you who've been with me for a little while, you know that I like the iPad Pro and I love the iPad mini. But I cannot deny that I've somewhat fallen out of love with the iPad over time, especially the iPad Pro. While the hardware just keeps getting better and better, on the software side, it's still lacking, big time. On top of that, I'm a little frustrated by the iPad's ongoing identity crisis. I mean, what is it trying to be? It's not a replacement for my MacBook, I don't care what anybody says, but as a bare bones tablet, it just feels a bit unwieldy and overpowered. I try to use my iPad as an all-in-one productivity tool, but if I'm being honest, other than taking a lot of handwritten notes and typing the occasional email, I use it mostly as a media consumption and social media device. And that is also where one of the problems occurs, because instead of it being a productivity tool, it becomes a distraction device for me. And that is exactly why I've been so interested in these e-ink alternatives. The way I look at the Go 7 and the Go 10.3 is a stripped down, more focused alternative to my iPad mini and my iPad Pro respectively. Working on these devices has been refreshing in a sense that I use these purely for the things I set out to do on them. And let me be clear, it's not like you can't do a lot of things on these devices. In fact, these run an open Android system and you can download pretty much any app from the Google Play Store. The big difference is that I don't feel inclined to do that. I don't want to use this for social media or to watch YouTube. That's not what these are for. Or at least not in my opinion. It just doesn't feel like I want to be scrolling and commenting on stuff when I'm using one of these. If I want to read something, whether it's a book or a PDF for work, or even a magazine for that matter, I'll pick up the little Go 7. I don't have an email app installed. I'm not inclined to scroll through social media. I just read and maybe annotate a little bit. Now, if I want to work inside a PDF document, or I want to do some research and take notes at the same time, or I just want to have a nice big surface to take handwritten notes or make some sketches, I'll definitely go for the 10.3. And for my personal use cases, the 10.3 is probably my favorite of the two. But the Go Color 7 is also a very cool little device. So let me take you through that one first, show you some of the stuff it can do, and why the Kaleido 3 color e-paper display makes sense on this small device. And then I'll show you why I love the 10.3 so much for the stuff I do on a daily basis. Now, the first thing you'll notice when you pick one of these up is how incredibly light it is. The iPad mini is already very light at 306 grams, but even compared to that, this little reader feels feather light, coming in at just 191 grams, give or take. Now, the second thing you'll notice immediately is this nice colored display. I've used some e-readers in the past, but they all look rather dull. The Kaleido 3 color e-paper really adds to the appeal of this thing. Combined with the front light, the colors really make that content pop a little bit more, especially when reading things like comic books. But it still gives that calm look you're used to from e-readers, as opposed to a tablet screen, which can start straining the eyes over time. Now, the fact that the Go 7 is a color reader also comes in handy when doing things like annotating text. Rather than just a single highlighter, you can now pick colors and color coordinate your highlights, which I find quite useful. Now, the Go 7 does have front lighting, which makes it ideal to read in bed or on a plane, but it still looks great under direct sunlight as well. I love taking this out with me, especially now that we have some nice weather, even here in Belgium. As much as I love this studio, it is pretty dark in here, and some days you can feel the walls closing in a bit. It's easy to just toss the Go 7 into a little bag and head out for a bit. Much of the viewing experience can be adjusted, anything from the front light to the color modes. You can even adjust the refresh modes to suit your content, all from within the e-ink center. Also very useful is the text-to-speech feature, in case you want to do some hands-free reading. And you know what? I'm actually surprised about how good the speakers are, considering how light and flat both these are. But anyway, let's do a little sound test so you can hear for yourself. Now, the Go 7 has a water repellent design, which makes it ideal to use this thing poolside or even at the beach, and the built-in G sensor lets you switch orientations as well. Battery life is great too, as you would expect from an e-reader. It will easily last me a week with regular daily use. This model has 64 gigs of memory, so I'm not going to run out anytime soon, but for those of you with massive libraries, there is a micro SD card slot so you can expand the storage even further. So yeah, the Boox Go 7 is a fun, mostly distraction-free, great-looking e-reader, and at a fraction of the price of an iPad, it's hard to ignore, and definitely worth considering for your next trip, or to just toss in your bag whenever you head out. Now, the Boox 10.3, in my opinion, is an entirely different animal. Sure, you can read books on this thing, and I'm pretty sure plenty of people do that, but it's not that ultra light one-handed experience you get from the Boox Go 7. Now, that's not to say that this device is heavy. At 376 grams, it's still super light for its size, considerably lighter still than even the new ultra-thin iPad Pro. But this is not the one I'm going to grab for lengthy reading sessions. Unless we're talking about A4 or letter-sized documents like PDFs or websites for that matter. In those cases, I actually prefer the larger screen. And that puts this 10.3-inch e-ink tablet very much in the productivity category for me. And that's where this really excels. Reading PDFs is really a treat. The 300 ppi screen means that the text looks super crispy, and unlike the Go 7, this tablet does not have any front lighting. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought it was gonna bother me. But it turned out that this is actually one of its strengths. Because there aren't any lights placed under the screen, it really looks like the e-ink sits right at the surface, just like it does on actual paper. And that does not just make for a pleasant reading experience. I mean, sunlight is literally a non-issue for this thing. It also makes it really nice to annotate your documents or to take handwritten notes. You guys know I'm a huge fan of taking notes on the iPads, but you 100% need a paper-like screen protector on there to make it usable. The Boox 10.3 takes that experience to another level. You can really tell that this device is made to be written on. It genuinely feels like paper. The included Notes app is really good with a bunch of templates you can use, lots of useful tools. You can move your notes around, and you can even share your work right from the device. And again, and I can't stress this enough, I simply do not feel the need to procrastinate on this thing. Can you put Facebook on this thing? Sure, it has the Google Play Store just like the Go 7, but do I want to put Facebook on this thing? No. That's just not what it's for, at least not in my opinion. The appeal for me is the fact that this feels like a digital notes device. I can write on this thing for a long time and it feels great. But it's cool for research too. I will use the split screen option to put my research articles on the top, while the bottom half offers room for my scribbles. Also, I'm not really sure why, but this pencil feels really good. It's super light, but it provides enough drag to make it not feel slippery. And if you listen to this, you can actually hear that it sounds like paper. Oh, and also this cover is pretty smart. I mean, it's nothing special to look at, but since this isn't magnetic and you can't really clip it onto the tablet, what they did was they made this little detachable thing, which holds the pencil in place. And when you're done with it, you can actually remove the whole thing so that it's actually flat on the table when you want to write on it. I think that's a great idea. And just like the Boox Go 7, this thing lasts and lasts and lasts. It has a 3700 milliamp hour battery on board, so I'm definitely not bringing any chargers with me when I'm out and about. I would even feel comfortable taking this on a trip with me and not bring a single charger. And that's definitely a huge advantage of the e-ink, and of course not having backlight. It just lasts forever. So guys, what can I say? If you are looking for a little reader that you can just toss in your bag and take with you, and you're a bit tired of black and white readers, I can definitely recommend you give this thing a try. And if you're like me and you're into productivity, but at the same time you get distracted by a squirrel, give this a try. I promise you it's a whole new experience. If you want to check out current prices or you're thinking about picking one of these up, there will be links in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it one of these. It really helps to get this video out to more people. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.